Welcome to Hey Sister. This is episode 41, Too Uncool for School. Hey sister.
Hey sister.
Join me, Courtney Lewis.
And me, Carly Ferguson.
In our conversational podcast about everyday situations.
You can count on us to tell it to you straight with our own sisterly spin.
Consider this a phone call with your own Southern sisters as we discuss with you personal accountability, healthy relationships, managing responsibilities, and contributing to society.
Each episode will consist of straight talk and a call to action.
Your sisters are calling.
Thanks for answering.
Welcome back to another episode of Hey Sister. We are so glad y'all are joining us for the conclusion of our Hot Topic series. Today we are joined by our youngest sister, Cassidy. Welcome, Cassidy.
What? So happy to be here.
Yes, we're so glad to have her on with us today and have her awesome energy. As you know, Cassidy is our Instagram famous Happy Pants dancer, and she graces us with some sweet, sick dance moves every week, and we just absolutely love her over on Instagram. So if you're not following us at the Hey Sister podcast, make sure and go follow us so that you can keep up to date on Cassidy's awesome dances, along with the great songs that she finds. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know anything that's current. I love listening to her stuff because I'm like, oh, there's a good song I've never heard before. We decided on today's episode because similar to episode 9, Hot Mess Express, we really do believe that sharing embarrassing moments is a gift. Plus, before we get into our back to school series that's going to start next month, we wanted to start with a very real vision of the kind of students we were, along with real life examples of when things weren't so picture perfect, when things weren't so cool, because we can all relate to the fact that we really were too uncool for school a lot of times. I was definitely a huge nerd, as you will see in all of my stories today that are embarrassing moments. So consider this our gift to you. We're going to be a little real and talk about some embarrassing moments from our days in school.
I say that we go oldest to youngest.
Okay.
Either way, I'm the middle, but.
So I'm Courtney. I'm the oldest sister, and I'll get this party started. And I've got a few stories in my arsenal. So I'll start with my most distant memory and work my way to more recent school years. But when I think of myself in school, I was very naive. And one of my most embarrassing moments was when I was in 7th grade. I was in a drama class, and there were some really cool kids in this drama class. I'd never actually talked to any of them before, but I remember thinking, these are the cool kids, because 7th grade is that time when you start to be aware that there's a caste system in a way. And I was painfully aware that I was somewhere in the middle. I didn't know exactly where I fell. I wasn't wearing Velcro shoes, which for some reason I suddenly decided were not cool in 7th grade, but I also wasn't wearing Abercrombie and Fitch. So I was like somewhere in the middle. Anyway, I was in this class with all these other kids in drama. A lot of them were wearing Abercrombie and Fitch. They were just the cool kids. Well, the main emphasis in that drama class was improvisation and learning how to act on the fly. I'd never acted before, but I apparently found something I was pretty good at. I didn't know that I was good at it, but I found myself really liking this class in the first few weeks, and we would do a lot of improv acting. And one day in particular, there was this scene, and I don't remember exactly what I said, but there was something to do with a horse in this scene, and we just had to roll with it. And I said something about riding a horse, and I don't know what I said, but the whole class erupted in laughter. And everybody was like, I can't believe Courtney said that. And I was just appalled, thinking, what did I just say? The teacher got up from her desk, grabbed my arm, yanked me into the hall, and slammed the door behind us. And she asked me, why would you do that? Why would you say that? I looked at her with my eyes huge, and I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. And she said, repeat what you just said. And I said, I honestly have no idea what I just said. What just happened? And she just started laughing in the hall. She just said, Courtney, I'm gathering that you didn't understand that you just made a really inappropriate joke. So you're going to go back in there, and the class is probably either going to praise you for what you've said, or they're just going to mock you that you didn't understand what you said. But either way, just don't let them bother you about this. Don't think twice about it. But of course, I went back in, and they were like trying to high five me. Like they thought I was so bad. They thought I was so cool. But really, I just ended up being like, you guys, I have no idea what I said. And then I got mercilessly mocked for being a prude. But that's just who I was. So I like made this apparently a terrible and dirty joke in 7th grade and had no idea what I said. So that was embarrassing just because of the fallout. And because at first the teacher was mad at me, which as you, my sisters know, I am such a teacher's pet. I would never want to do anything to get in trouble. So it was super embarrassing that a teacher would like pull me out into the hall, but then to have all the kids realize that I'm a prude was even more embarrassing. And yeah, that's embarrassing moment number one.
I have never heard that story. So this is really fun because I learned something new about you that I had never heard that story before. And I can feel that feeling.
I never went on to be in drama after that class. I was ready to disenroll from that class that day. I was like, get me out of here.
You're like, can I plan what I say ahead of time so we don't fall into the same things?
or have editing power. That explains why I like this podcast so much afterwards.
Yeah. So I guess I'm up to bat, or do you want to share another one?
Oh, no. Yeah, go for it. Let's hear it, Carl.
Okay. I have so many that are small in nature, but the feelings are big. And it just seems like it's so obvious for everyone around you how embarrassing it is. So in high school, I was in band and I really loved my friend group. I tended to be in like the AP classes, but like I'm not super smart, but I just liked being in those classes with the people that were there. And one time we were actually talking at the lunch table and I realized I'm your dumb friend. They were all like in top 10. And I'm like, hey, I guess I'm your dumb friend that makes you feel good. But of course they were like, no, you're so funny. It's okay. Like, don't worry about it.
You're like, you didn't just say I was not dumb.
Yeah, you didn't say no. Okay. But yeah, I was in band and our band was very strict. I think any band in Texas, you'll find even years after not being in band anymore, a prior band student could regale how hard it was, how much of a cult marching band can be. Like I have a babysitter come over, like we talked about in Babysitters Club, and she's actually in band. And when she first came over, I'm like, so do y'all do like heel to toe marching or do you do straight leg marching? As if I don't know what's wrong with me, but
is that your embarrassing moment?
No, that's not the embarrassing moment. Sorry. I'm like leading up into, I just want to give some backstory here. I was the kid who would like always forget something. If it was my black socks for game day or my dot book randomly, or that you always needed some extra thing in our practice area. We called it the skillet because it's Texas and it's so hot. And we'd have morning and afternoon practice. And so in the afternoon, it was just blazing hot out there. And you had to run through the football field in order to get to the other side. And so every time I'd run, it was always through the football field with all the football players practicing, or like track, whatever team was practicing at the time. So they all see me like hauling, just like going down, then running back up, and they would call out to me, just mocking me as I did.
Why did the Carly cross the road?
I know. And I'm like wearing tall black socks and black marching shoes with my shorts, and I'm holding all these things because I didn't believe in a backpack. So I always had bags on my shoulders. But one day I thought I would go a different way, and so that I could get around. And there's a fence, like a pretty tall fence. So in order to go around the football field, I was going to go on the backside, and I was just going to climb over the fence so they didn't like see me run like on the way back. And thought I could just scale a fence easily. And I wasn't able to. So I like stabbed my leg, and it just was a huge fail. I like fell over the side of it. And then later I like come home and open the door, and I looked like I'd been attacked by a cat on my legs. It was just a really bad moment. So I come in the door, and Dallas, our brother, is there, and he's very good about a blunt and honest response or observation. He's very good at those. So he sees me, he's like, what happened to you? You know, like I fell over a fence. So it wasn't as visible, I think, to most people, but it was definitely a moment in my brain. But it wasn't just one, it was accumulation of all of these times of me running back and forth from the band hall through the field to the skillet. I know that's probably anticlimactic, but
did anybody see the fall?
No, but I don't know. The angels on the other side got a good laugh. It was just funny to me. And I think of Mia Thermopolis, and we talked about Princess Diaries in the last episode too, but that scene where she falls in the bleachers.
Yes.
It's actually like a real part. She didn't mean to do that. And it was the genuine reaction.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was an actual reaction.
Kept it in because that's like what me at Thermopolis would do.
And those are like the funny moments where you just laugh, but really at the time I had to go back and tell people what had just happened because I thought I was being clever. And like, I thought I could. Who thinks that they're just like, I don't know why Agent Cody Banks came first to my mind.
It's like Agent Cody Banks just scaling a fence.
I love the battle wounds too.
If it makes you feel any better, Carly, one time I went to go get a tennis ball over the fence and I tried to do that same thing where I scaled the fence, but I was wearing a baggy shirt and it hooked onto the top of the fence and my shirt went up. And I was like, I'm hooked. It happens. The fences are not with the Shane girls.
I don't think any other person would try though. I think that's a point to make that I don't know if many other people are like, there's an 8-foot fence. I think I'll go over that instead of just going around.
Yeah, we miserably fail, but we tried.
Okay, Cass, I want to hear a story. You have such great stories.
All right. I have 2 little short stories because I have multiple stories of me doing embarrassing things throughout school. It happens all the time. But my first story happened whenever I was in middle school. And this was right what you were talking about, Courtney, where it's like the popular time where you're like trying to figure out who you are as a person. And you're like, am I going to fit in with the popular cast? And it's literally the second day into school. And I'm in this class with all of the popular kids, a couple of my friends, and it's like my second class of the day. And I come in and I was feeling like a little bit congested as I am right now. And I had this cough and sneeze going on. And then I feel the pinnacle of all sneezes coming up that I can't hold in. So I tried to like stutter to hold it in, but it didn't work out. And so I'm half sneezing, half holding it. And then I put my arm up to try and cover my spray, and a huge snot rocket just comes straight out my nose onto my arm. It's summertime, basically, so I don't have any coat or anything like that.
Nothing to absorb it. No.
If I like put down my arm, there's going to be a string there.
Yeah.
And everybody's just, not everybody, but a handful of people are just kind of watching me like, what you do? What's the plan now? And so I just holding my arm across my mouth, trying to like mask my snot. And so I get up and I walk over to the teacher's desk.
With your arm cradling your face?
With my arm cradling my face. And I just look at the teacher and I say, we've got a situation.
That's why I needed your story, Cass, because I would expect like, can I have a tissue?
I'll never forget because that's the way I said it. I feel like from that moment on, I was known as the snot girl.
But you weren't snotty.
I wasn't snotty or anything, but I was the snot girl. I was not hot to snot. I was just snot.
That is so funny.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's a great story.
Why is it that in school it was embarrassing to sneeze or to cough when you were like in a class? You're like, you do these little coughs because you're like, I can't cough. Now I would never inhibit myself from a sneeze or something.
The only times where that was acceptable for me is whenever I knew, because I felt it in my heart, that was going to be major straight out my nose. So I was trying to hold that in to the max. But every other time, it feels good to sneeze. It feels good to cough. I couldn't stand it. You always kind of want to hit them in the back whenever you have those girls in class or those guys in class. They're like, you're like, get it out here. Let me just whack you on the back until it comes out. But the other short story I have was one time whenever I went up to go turn in a test to the teacher, and there was this desk that he had of these papers, and it was a foldable desk. And there was this line of people that was in front of me, and one of the people was taking a longer time just talking with the teacher, trying to ask him a couple questions. So I leaned up against this desk, and it's like quiet exam, of course. And so there's like not a pin drop. But as I lean against this foldable desk, what do you think happens? It folds on me. And so all the papers go flying everywhere. My bum hits the ground hard, and all the papers are everywhere. And I just kind of got back up and I started picking up the papers, and I was like, resume, everybody. Sorry about it. You guys can go on your merry way.
That's so great.
So between you saying, what's the plan now with your previous story cast, and then with Carly's story about scaling a fence and running to get past the skillet and all that, I have a story I want to share from my college days. So I attended Utah State University, and being a Texas girl going to school in Utah, I quickly became aware that snow was not my friend. I remember my first birthday, my birthday's in December, and I remember being mesmerized by the snow because I was like, snow is glorious and sparkly and white. And look, this is my first birthday where it snowed on my birthday. So I just thought snow was magical. Didn't take me long until the following February and March, it's still snowing, that I decided I didn't love snow, especially when I had early morning classes. Well, I was living on campus at Utah State, and the bus would come around to each of the on-campus dorms and would pick students up outside, usually within like 100 yards of each of the dorms. And you could hear it. I got trained almost like a dog, where my ears could hear in the morning when the bus would make it right around the street corner to get to my apartment complex. I would hear it, and then I would book it out of my dorm to get to the street in time to catch the bus. Well, this one particular day, I hear the bus and I start making my way down the stairs, get down to the bottom of the stairs, only to realize the parking lot is covered in a fresh, like 6 to 8 inches of snow. It is fresh. It's across the whole parking lot. And normally I dart across the parking lot to get to the bench where the bus picks up. And so I think, okay, I can make this. I can make this. And I'm wearing my Doc Martens, my favorite Doc Martens. And I still have this pair. I've had them since I was in 8th grade. And Doc Martens are actually not great in snow because the bottoms are just rubber, so they freeze. But they kept my feet fairly warm. So I'm running in my Doc Martens, trudging through the snow, making footprints all through the parking lot. And I'm moving as fast as I can, but not running very fast because the snow is thick. Well, I finally get to this point and the bus has now stopped. And I think they see me because they're waiting. They've just pulled up and I'm getting close. And there's a spot where a car pulled out of the parking lot. So that spot where the car had been parked is shallow. There's no snow there because the car had been parked and then had backed out of this spot, leaving an actual like pretty decent size area that I could run faster through. So I kind of get to that spot and I start moving a little quicker. Well, now the bottom of my shoes have frozen. I hit this patch of parking lot and I just fly. Feet go into the air, land flat on my back. My feet are up in the air and I'm just staring up at the sky. And I think to myself, we have a situation. I'm like, Cassidy, we have a situation here. I'm just staring up at the sky and I'm thinking, this hurts really bad. I'm not going to get up from this ever. I'm just going to be here for the rest of my life. I don't want to get up. I hate Utah. This is so cold. This is so miserable. Why is it even snowing in March? And as I lay there, all of a sudden I hear this gentle beep, beep. I'm like, the bus is still here. Like I'd forgotten that's what I was running to. And so I do like the walk of shame and shake the snow off my shoulders and my bum because my bum is now frozen. So I'm like wiping the snow from my booty, stand up and I hobble my way to the bus. And I get to the bus and the bus driver opens the door and he tilts his chin to the side and kind of looks at me like, oh, you poor thing. And everybody on the bus, it was a packed bus, and they all start clapping for me.
That's so funny.
I was so embarrassed. I was just like, get me out of this situation. But they all understood. For as embarrassed as I was, both my pride, my booty, everything hurt. I was also like, this is just part of living in a cold state now. But it was so embarrassing in the moment. That day I was like, Snow 1, Courtney 0.
Get up, Bambi.
Yes, exactly. I know.
I love that. And I love it. It's like clumsiness, but it's like your pride that hurts most. But it's also funny that so many people saw it. And I love the clapping. I would have clapped for you.
I'm like, did you choreograph this? Why are you like, did they all
That's
decide
so
this before I
funny.
got on the bus?
I can see it happening like a movie. It's funny thinking back to school. Lots of fun times too, but things that also I'll wake up in the middle of the night and be like, remember that time I found some pants and they thought they were so cute. So I wore them to school and the kid next to me was like, nice pants. And then I realized that they were boys' pants. We were wearing the same pants. So there are times like that. Now it's like the style.
Exactly. Joke's on him now.
I know. Now it's like the style to wear the baggy straight leg pants. At that time, it wasn't.
Well, you could have been like, maybe you're wearing girls' pants.
Well, I got mine from a thrift store. So it was more likely got them from the right section. We don't have any sections in thrift stores.
True. It's okay. There's been a couple times in my life where I put my foot up and that I had the price tag on the bottom that was marked up $3.69. They're like, you got something on your foot. And I was just like, yeah, a deal.
Yeah. Those kind of things, they build character.
Yeah.
Like walking up to a garage sale of someone that goes to your school. And you're like, Mom, please no, please no.
No, Mom.
She's like, come on, I see something I like. And you're like, no. And you're just like pretending not to be there, but you are.
It reminds me of that scene. We just watched Mean Girls, and there's this part where it's like, I love seeing a teacher outside of school. It's like watching a dog on its hind legs.
Like doing something so irregular.
Something so irregular where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I see them outside of school. No.
That's so funny. So speaking of teachers, I want to share one last story. I'll keep this one short. Another college story for y'all. I had this class with 500 students. It's one of the general education classes you have to take. So there was like, I mean, I say 500, it felt like 500. Maybe there was between 102 or 300, but it was a big auditorium full of students. And it was a nutrition class, like nutrition 101, essentially. And the teacher was really young. She was maybe early 20s. I remember even as like an 18-year-old thinking, this teacher is barely older than I am. But she was a great teacher for the most part. But there was a few times during the semester that we would get there and she would start the class with clips from The Office. She loved The Office. And I hated that. I'd never really seen The Office. And I am a huge nerd. I just love learning and I like for time to be spent efficiently. So the end of the semester came and she asked for evaluations from the class. And she told us that they would be anonymous evaluations. And so I definitely reviewed her in this evaluation that she emailed out and gave her great marks for like everything she taught us. I thought she did a great job. And then it was like, any other comments? And so my comment said, to be honest, I don't think you should be showing clips from The Office when we've all come to learn in your class. If I want to watch a clip from a funny series of TV, I'll watch it in the privacy of my room by myself or with friends. I don't care to be watching scenes from The Office when I've made the effort to come to your class.
Oh my gosh.
Good baby, Courtney.
Is there more to the story?
Oh, yes.
Oh, no.
The next day that we had her class, she decides that she wants to share my anonymous remark on a PowerPoint in front of the whole auditorium.
With your handwriting?
No, it was in e-form. So everything was
Okay.
typed out. But she put it up on the big screen, the projector, in front of this auditorium full of hundreds of my peers. And she says, I want to read y'all nobody else says y'all. I want to read you students an evaluation from one of your peers. And I would just be curious to know if you all agree. And she proceeds to read my evaluation and everyone in that auditorium starts booing me. Boo! They don't know it's me. I'm like, boo, boo. Is that
Booing with them. Oh, that's so funny.
I was like, oh my gosh. She was so shaming me. But I felt so embarrassed because I'm like, I am such a holier than thou person. I'm going to try and tell her how to teach her class. I didn't like that she did that, but I thought it was anonymous. I didn't know it was going to come back to bite me in the butt.
Oh my gosh. I like how even when you're retelling the story, you give the full, like, what your review was like. I could do it in the privacy of my own room. Like, you remember how in detail you were about it. And that probably just irked her so much. And she probably used that every semester after that to be like, I do this. And just so you know, I got a bad review from one person. This is it. Okay.
I know. I'm
Oh
sorry.
my gosh.
I would have been one of the people that I'm like, play The Office. Woohoo. Less time in the classroom. That's great.
You and I see school very differently.
Yeah, that's true.
But did she still teach the material or was she not teaching the material?
She taught the material very well, but she cared a lot to be the most popular teacher on campus. It seemed to me to matter to her a lot. And so I think that's even why she showed that evaluation. She gave off vibes of wanting to be popular, wanting to relate to the students. She was young. She did a good job teaching, but there was a few things about her personality that just did not jive with me. And so when she's asking for honest reviews, I'm like, okay, this would have made the class better for me. But I mean, should I have said it? Maybe not. I mean, I guess not, but I wanted to be honest, but boy, I got crucified for that.
Yeah. Oh man.
It was awful. You guys, it was really bad. I think all three of my stories are like me being a prude, me being rude.
No, I think the first one's really funny because it's like on accident, which most of the time that's what happens. You say the wrong word. You meant to say circumscribed and you say circumcised. Like, it happens. I just think about these things all the time. Like, I literally wake up in the middle of the night. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. In 5th grade, at the end of the year, we had a party and they had dancing And I used that moment to like get in the middle of the dance circle. And I did the worm and I did so many cool things and I won the dance off.
Yeah.
Why is that embarrassing?
I don't know why. But then after that, I was like, I'm such an idiot. Why did I do that? That's just what school is, though. It puts you in this weird headspace. And then you're like rethinking everything. You're like, oh my gosh.
Was I part of a case study?
I know. I'm like, it was like a social experiment.
I was like, I got first in a cross country meet. It's so embarrassing.
No, but it was extra. It was very overboard. And looking back, I don't know if I really won or if everyone was like, you tried hardest.
No, you won. You did the worm. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know.
I stood up and cheered for you.
I needed you in my corner.
It's not embarrassing if you own up to whatever the embarrassing act was.
If you do it in style or if you just mean to do it. If you afterwards are like, yeah, I did that. That's what happened. Then they can be able to say, oh, yeah, okay. Like she owned up to it and she was proud of it.
I think it was hard because it was the last day of school and there was no other conversations after that for the entire summer. And then I was with new people and it wasn't something you could bring up again. Hey, remember that time? It was just this one-off random day where I got the nerve. And then after that was second guessing all of it. I don't know if a lot of other people feel like that sometimes. Like Courtney's like really good at improv. And then she has that moment and then she's like, okay, maybe not. Maybe that's not my route, but it's good character building stuff.
It is. And I think it's easy for us to second guess everything we do afterwards. That's just part of being a human, right? And especially being a woman is psychoanalyzing yourself of why did I do that? And what were other people thinking when I did that? And that's where we just need to all goes back to one of our very first episodes. Quiet your mind. You care more about what you're doing than anybody else cares about what you're doing. And that's why these embarrassing moments are fun to reflect on because it helps us to remember. I mean, with the exception of my teacher who clearly cared what I wrote as her evaluation.
Oh, that made it so funny.
But like people typically are going to understand when you have a hot mess or embarrassing moment.
You were like, Angela, that was an Angela moment. That was
great.
Say that back.
I do feel like I relate to Angela, with the exception of her having an affair with Dwight.
Yeah, no,
anyway.
Not that. Okay.
Sorry, I'll just edit all that out because I don't want to spoiler alert anything for the opposite. Anybody's watching it.
Courtney, everyone's already watched it. There's no one.
I'm watching it for the first time right now. That's
in the privacy of your own home.
With my husband, with the people I want. Me and my husband, we watched The Office finally. It's like 20 years old. So we hope you enjoyed hearing some of our embarrassing moments from school. We hope that it helps hype you up for our back to school series that's going to be coming at y'all starting in August. And we've got some incredible, we're calling them our teachers. They're not just guest experts. They're our teachers for classes such as science and history and math and PE and just you name it. We're going to have an awesome class about it for the months of August and September, adult style, because we learn all these things as kids. And then everybody always says, are we going to use this when we grow up? Yes, you are. Dang straight you are. So come to Back to School series with Hey Sister. You consider yourself part of Hey Sister Academy. We will not be doing open anonymous reviews though. Just kidding. Always tell us what you want, but don't do it anonymously. We want to see your face on Instagram, which as a reminder, don't forget to follow us on social media at the Hey Sister Podcast on Instagram or at facebook.com/Hey Sister Podcast. We love to connect with y'all. If you follow us on Instagram, you'll see Cassidy's happy pants dances, which we always love to see. And don't forget to check out today's show notes for links to our social media accounts and our website and any links to episodes that we've referenced today. We also invite you to check out our minute marker timeline. So if you want to skip ahead or rewind backwards to a certain point, you know where to pick back up. We're grateful y'all joined us today. We're so grateful to be part of your sisterhood. We're glad that Cassidy could join us. It's always fun to have our baby sister on with us. Sorry to call you baby sister.
Yeehaw, it's okay. Don't worry.
Okay.
It's like Baby Spice.
Baby Spice. Yes, you are Baby Spice. Well, we're super glad Cassidy joined us today. And sisters, have a wonderful week. And we will talk to y'all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Do, 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 do.
I get it. That's the Office theme.
Yeah.
It's not funny if you explain it. Also, your Dallas impersonation. You're not a very good sister if you don't give your brother a deep voiced Batman meets
But Dallas actually talks like that. He does.
I know.
You're listening, Dallas.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
do. I mean, you do. It's good.
It's great.
What happened to you?
But we're like, Cassidy,